TomoNews presents ozone depletion.
Is the ozone layer recovering? NASA announced on Thursday that the hole in the Earth's ozone is the smallest it's been for the last 29 years, though not because toxic emissions have gone down. The ozone hole that formed over Antarctica this year measured 7.6 million square miles at its maximum peak and is as small as it's been since 1988. Ozone molecules shield the Earth from the sun's UV radiation, but are being depleted by man-made chemicals like bromine and chlorine that are released into the atmosphere. The hole in the ozone has been growing larger over the years, measuring more than 11 million square miles at its highest. Ozone deteriorates more quickly in colder temperatures and in the presence of polar stratospheric clouds that encourage ozone-eating chemical reactions. This year's weak depletion is largely due to stormy conditions in the upper atmosphere, which warmed temperatures and kept toxic chemicals from destroying the ozone. While the small ozone hole resulted from mostly natural causes, steady improvements, such as the banning of ozone-eating chemicals in a 1987 international treaty, may have also contributed.
Pollution from China ruins U.S. effort to cut ozone levels on West Coast. A study published in Nature Geoscience claims the US's effort to cut ozone levels have gone to waste due to pollution arriving on the West Coast from China. From 2005 to 2010, the US managed to cut ozone-producing nitrous oxide emissions by 20% by imposing strict standards for motor vehicles and industry. During the same period of time, however, China's growth pushed its own ozone levels up by about 7%. Half of the increase in China came from the ground up, while the other half descended from the stratosphere, although some of that pollution may have been blown to China from India and other parts of Asia, in the same way that the dominant westerly winds blow China's air pollution into the troposphere straight across the Pacific Ocean and into the United States, causing ozone levels to rise again. High levels of pollution can cause respiratory problems, damage to crops, and of course global warming. According to researcher Willem Verstraeten, local and national efforts to fight pollution could have a limited impact if the problem is not also dealt with at an international level.
Production of chemical hurting the ozone layer. Banned chemicals are being used somewhere in the world again, and the ozone is being damaged as a result. New research published in the journal Nature details findings that posit somewhere in East Asia is producing the banned ozone-depleting chemical CFC-11. According to the BBC, CFC-11 was used in the 1930s as a refrigerant. It could also be found in solvents and aerosols. But its use came at a devastating cost. Along with now other banned chemicals, its use left a massive hole in the ozone layer. Scientists say the continued production of the chemical may slow the recovery of the ozone. Researchers considered several factors to explain the continued presence of CFC-11, but concluded that unreported new production is behind it. Speaking to Time, University of Maryland expert Ross Salowich said this rogue production of CFC-11 could hurt the ozone recovery. And that's bad because it leaves the ozone and thereby all 7 billion Earthlings exposed to new threats. That's why CFC-11 and ozone-depleting chemicals like it were outlawed under an agreement named the Montreal Protocol.
Could geoengineering help save the planet? With global warming causing heat waves and rising sea levels, and potentially bringing about more devastating consequences, scientists are turning to climate engineering solutions to keep temperatures down. Geoengineering has two approaches to cool the planet: carbon dioxide removal and solar radiation management. Taking the direct air capture approach is Swiss company Climeworks, which uses several collectors to suck in air that contains carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is filtered and collected, while other air molecules are returned to the atmosphere. A separate Harvard project, meanwhile, is working on dimming sunlight. The team plans to release limestone particles using a high-altitude balloon and then observe its effect on the stratosphere. The limestone spray will supposedly reflect solar radiation and slow greenhouse gas warming. It will also neutralize the acids that destroy the ozone, thus helping to restore that protective layer. Another technique aims to cool the seas and prevent coral bleaching by spraying salt generated from saltwater to create more reflective clouds. Critics of geoengineering warn that such solutions are a temporary fix and run the risk of dealing more damage in the long run. It's definitely a radical step from reducing carbon emissions, which many believe is the more effective way to curb global warming.
The ozone should be a no-go zone for these chemicals. The ozone is the only thing separating us from skin cancer and a fiery apocalypse, but it's under attack again. Scientists looking at data from Taiwan and Malaysia found that the atmosphere is stacked with the chemical dichloromethane. This chemical is said to deplete the ozone layer over Earth. The ozone helps to protect Earth from the sun's cancerous ultraviolet rays. Scientists also discovered large traces of the chemical dichloroethane, another ozone-depleting chemical. An international treaty phased out ozone-killing chemicals in 1987, but based on this, it'll probably need some amending, and fast.
Uh-oh, that's bad news. The BBC reports a home insulation chemical used extensively throughout China may be damaging the Earth's ozone layer. The chemical, CFC-11, was completely banned 8 years ago because it resulted in a massive rise in emissions of a gas to the Earth's protective layer. According to the BBC, around 70% of sales in China use the illegal gas to insulate their houses because it is better quality and much cheaper than the other alternatives. CFC-11 is made from chemicals such as carbon, chlorine, and fluorine. CFC-11, or trichlorofluoromethane, was mainly used as a refrigerant and is a colorless liquid which is quick to escape containers even if it is packed tightly. When CFCs are exposed to UV rays in the atmosphere, the molecule breaks down into individual atoms, which includes chlorine. The oxygen atoms in the ozone then react to the chlorine atom and rips apart the ozone molecule, which damages the ozone layer. Because of the sheer amount of CFC-11 being used, this could have the potential to reverse the healing that is starting to take place in the ozone layer.
4 new man-made gases that scientists believe are contributing to the depletion of the ozone layer have been detected, despite bans on the production of similar gases under a 1987 treaty. Scientists have identified 3 new chlorofluorocarbon gases, CFC-112, CFC-112A, CFC-113A, and 1 hydrochlorofluorocarbon gas, HCFC-133A, in the atmosphere. The gases have been used in the production of insecticide, refrigerants, and cleaning solvents. The air samples were collected in Cape Grim, Tasmania, between 1978 and 2012. And extracted from deep fern snow in Greenland in 2008. The data shows the 4 gases started to emerge in the atmosphere in the 1960s. More than 74,000 tons of the 4 gases have been released into the atmosphere. Experts are trying to pinpoint industrial sources of the new gases.